And now, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
This is Steve Penk with more radio bloopers, more wonderful radio nightmares. Sometimes in the world of broadcasting, it just isn't your day.
Well, we seem to be having problems, I'm afraid, bringing you the news right at this very moment. So let me, in fact, tell you that after the news, we'll be hearing all about books and writers. And in 3/4 of an hour's time, we have Sports Roundup on the air for you. But in the meantime, until we can, in fact, provide some music for you, let me play you some music. Well, I don't know. We seem to be having all sorts of problems here. I can't even make my record player play for you. So let me, in fact, go a little further ahead and tell you, if you can still be with us, about Outlook, which is on the air at, in fact, this evening, 1929 approximately. And today there's a special edition of Outlook commemorating the sesquimillennium of the end of the Roman Empire. Well, I'm not quite sure how many years that is. I think it's probably 1600. And in today's programme, the city of Londinium, Malcolm Billings touring Roman London with archaeologist Peter Marsden. Well, more about that later, because now I gather we can go over to the newsroom for the latest news. Go on.
You are listening to Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
Hello, you're on the air.
Now, a Nottinghamshire woman says she'd like an apology after finding a delivery driver doing a poo on her property in the alley alongside her house. When she arrived home last Tuesday afternoon, Nadine from Gedling was shocked to see the man she believes worked for DHL with his pants down, wiping his bottom on her fence post.
Well, his pants were up as he come past me because he pulled them up past the wheelie bins, you know. I was just shocked. I couldn't even talk. So I just opened the door and I thought, I got to get to the childminder to pick my little boy up. But then when I got back from the childminder, I had a look and there it was, you know. It was quite a big turd.
Well, DHL says it's yet to ascertain if the individual in question is a DHL employee, and it's investigating this as a matter of priority, as it's clearly unacceptable. Now, your sports and England's footballers will look to maintain their 100% start to Euro 2020 qualification this evening.
Are you all right there?
No.
Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
And now on Radio Nightmares, before we get back to the bloopers, time for a quick commercial break.
Let the sun shine in. Let the sun shine in. We put the others in the shade.
And now there's Bailey's Price Pledge. We promise you that any quote you get elsewhere for similar blinds, we'll beat it. So you get the best blinds and you pay less. And don't forget, for a limited period, there's up to 50% off selected blinds. Bailey's Blinds. Shut up, I've not finished. We put the others in the shade. Dial the operator and ask for free phone Bailey's Blinds if you can get a word in edgeways.
The general public would love to be able to buy the things at North East Wholesale Limited in Newcastle City Centre, but they can't because it's strictly trade only. Over 5,000 lines at prices tradespeople will really like, with special offers on the largest display of fireworks in the North East, plus a wide range of toys, fancy goods, watches, electrical, hardware, and how to... Let me out!
More than one nervous cleric was known to refuse an engagement with a particular parish because he had heard the reputation of the local bell ringers. Now, at the end of the 19th century, this reputation for bad living was qualified by the inclusion of women in the church teams, and we have a little poem which was this was not altogether welcome, but in some cases it was accepted with great grace by the local bell ringers. And if I could find the poem, I would read this little ditty to you, and it goes something like... Bilby and Boosh may come and see what Evans have not have done by me.
No time signal tonight, I'm afraid, because it's now nearly 5 minutes past 7. But lots of other fascinating noises to amuse us, as you can probably hear. Drilling and banging underneath us. So fierce that my toes are vibrating. But I'm sure you can't hear those. We'll press on anyway with the news. As I say, the time is now 5 past 7. President de Klerk of South Africa has announced new measures to control the violence which has been affecting many parts of the country. Troops and police are being sent into the black townships to deal with political violence, a move which Mr. de Klerk said would lead to a rise in the number of people held in detention. He also confirmed that he'll be meeting the leader of the African National Congress, Mr. Nelson Mandela, later this week, and said that he hoped the ANC would enter into the process of negotiating a new South Africa. I hope you can hear this news, which is coming to you from BBC Radio 3. An earth tremor measuring 5.2 on the Richter scale has been felt across many parts of England and Wales.
The anonymous French La Quinte Estampée Reale, taken from music from the Crusades, David Munro Shawm and James Blade's Knackers.
Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
Wow.
Don Jose will leave and draws his sword. Called by Carmen, shrieks the two smugglers interfere with her, but Don Jose is bound to desert. He will follow into them. Final chorus. Opening sky, wandering life. Act 4. A place in Seville. A procession of blood spiders. The roaring of the bulls heard in the arena. Oh, God.
And you know, music lovers, 53 year laters. Now, what you think is that I'm going to play you a pop record now, don't you? Well, I'm not. I'm going to play you a bit of Hindemith. It's there somewhere. Where's my Hindemith gone? There it is.
With a name like Rattle,
one can't change
you never
everything.
feel you want to change it?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, if a German conductor with the name Christoph Prick can get away with it, I don't see why I shouldn't get away with Rattle. There are worse names.
Plus music from Rod Stewart to Pow, Squeeze, 22 Tops, and
22 ZZ Top, you bird.
Hello? 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 Hello, you're on the air.
You are listening to Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
We'll have some fun. Fun.
Well, Kajamigoo-goos. There they go, Kajagoo-goo. I'm sorry.
Hundreds and hundreds in Hallamland who are members of the Barry Manilow Fanny Club.
It is Elvis. Al rey del rock and roll, Elvis Presley.
What we've sold in the past few minutes is that Johnny Mathis disc. We closed that down at £31.
One of the most successful albums of last year, and quite rightly so too, Spandau Ballet's Gold. And here's the title track. Oh.
The song is now celebrating an amazing 7 months on the chart, and the band show no signs of relaxing their hold with the release of their follow-up.
Well, there's one from the Volks, Cliff and the Drifters, as they were called then, Living Loving Doll, the first record they made together in 1959. And finally, I must say, I feel already almost home. Meet Hank Marvin. Good evening, Hank.
Hello, John. Welcome.
You've been in Australia, about a couple of years now, haven't you?
Yes, it's 2 years this month, November. That's right.
And did you know the country well before you came out here, from tours and things?
Well, we didn't know it well, but we'd certainly spent a fair amount of time here, and we've travelled to all the major cities in Australia working, and a few of the not-so-major, too. Excuse me, I've just swallowed a fly.
I saw it round your mouth.
In fact, they're very nutritious. They're very nutritious. It's something you learn to adapt as part of your diet here in Australia.
You are listening to Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
Hello, you're on the air.
Now, if you ever find yourself on the radio, make sure what you're saying is nice and clear and you're clearly understood.
How do you feel about the divorce changes? Do you?
I'm all for it, yes, all for it, yeah. Sooner it comes in, the better. It's a great idea. Every other country, why not have it in this country?
And if you're physically moved on, where are you going to go next then?
Well, maybe I don't know, maybe I shall go and jump in the river.
Well, surely it won't come to that.
Well, why not? Maybe they got to live somewhere, and maybe if they go there.
Remember asked the players I've spoken to last week, play the one before the one before the big game. Play the one before the big game. Win the one before the big game. Play the one. Now win the one after the big game. But in the meantime, 5 or 6 games before the semi-final, let's win all of them as well and battle on.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, John. Yes.
I mean, you think it's going to help you have a long, healthy life?
And I've always thought why I do it, because when you work and you can't go every day.
What part are you going to play? I'm presumably you're doing a big concert to start it off, are you?
No, everything started and going on without me or with me, it's going ahead. Me's only like so now because of our survival and the interest that we have in Africa.
Did you ever get caught?
No, I had permission, Steve, from the bar. No, the road had come down for go to Salford, do we? Well, I used to that some miles off the long Arabic road because he was a rabbit to come through and bite off the corn, see.
So all in all, it's going to be a very interesting board meeting tomorrow.
Pardon?
So all in all, it's going to be a very interesting board meeting tomorrow.
Very difficult.
Very interesting.
Distressing.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yes, I should imagine it.
This is Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.
Well, we're now going to go live to a news conference that is taking place at the moment at Kennebunkport in the United States. John Major, the British Prime Minister, and President Bush are addressing journalists. In fact, I regrettably am now able to tell you that we're not able to pick up on that news conference live, but President Bush and Mr. Major have been answering questions about the sort of financial aid in particular that the West might now be able to deliver to the Soviet Union, and we'll have further details of that news conference in our bulletin at 5:30. So we'll move on with some local news, and to Somerset we go, because traces of the chemical organophosphorus have been discovered in the bodies of farmers who use it for sheep dipping. Sarah Foster reports. No, we're not able to bring you that report either, I'm afraid, for the moment. Now, if you're listening to our news hour at this lunchtime, you'll have heard 11-year-old Emma Robertson from Swindon in Wiltshire recounting the dramatic rescue of her and her brother Philip from the mud at Uphill near Weston-super-Mare. No, I'm afraid we're not able to bring you that either. I don't know if you've ever seen that classic American television programme where the news reporter finds himself introducing every single report, and every single report fails to materialise. It's all very embarrassing, really, and we were hoping to bring you that story, in fact, about the children on Weston-super-Mare Beach. Today, extra beach inspectors have been ordered to patrol the sands, and additional warning signs are going to be erected. The rescue, though, clearly shocked the authorities, as it did those who witnessed the dramatic turn of events.
Within minutes, there was the police, there was the Coast Guard, a marked Coast Guard.
Oh, dearie me. All one can do in situations like this, I'm afraid, is put on a wry grin.
Oh yes, we've all been there. When you're live and it all starts going wrong, you just got to keep going. It really can be an absolute nightmare. So that's it for this edition of Radio Nightmares. If you do have any Radio Nightmare clips, do send them in. radionightmares@gmail.com. That's radionightmares@gmail.com. And there's more Radio Nightmares next time.
Steve Penk's Radio Nightmares.